Time being 6:30 p.m, I'll declare the meeting open. Introduction. In the event of an emergency, the building may be evacuated. You'll be required to vacate the building by the rear entrance and gather at the breezeway between the library and the art gallery buildings. This is a council's designated emergency muster point. Under no circumstances is anyone permitted to re-enter the building until the all clear has been given and that the area is deemed safe by authorised personnel. In the event of evacuation, a member of the council staff will assist any persons present with a disability to vacate the building. I would like to welcome CU11 Legal Studies students to tonight's meeting. We hope that you'll be provided with an insight into council and to assist with your studies. So thank you for coming along, students. It's a pleasure to have you here, and I hope you enjoy our meeting. Item 1.1, apologies of absence. Mr. Acting Chief Executive Officer, is there any apologies?
We have two apologies for lateness. Councillor Kinghorn has apologised. She's finishing at about this time and will be making her way here directly. She has no declarations of pecuniary interest. And Councillor Peterson is parking at the moment and will be in here directly as well.
Move that be accepted, Mr. Mayor.
Moved by Councillor Whitten, and here comes Councillor Peterson, right on cue. Slow down, Councillor Peterson. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconded by Councillor McDonald. Thank you. All in favour? Carried. Settle down, Mr. former Mayor. He put his hand up.
It'd be a precedent. Be a first time.
Try not to smile. Live streaming recording. This council is being live streamed and recorded. By speaking at the council meeting, you agree to be live streamed and recorded. Please ensure that, and when you speak at the council meeting, that you ensure that you are respectful to others and use appropriate language at all times. Orange City Council accept no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures made during the course of the council meeting. A recording of the council meeting will be made for administrative purposes. Acknowledgement of country. I would like to ask Councillor Peterson to conduct the acknowledgement of country.
I'm sorry, Chair, that was actually me weeks ago, but I'm happy to do an acknowledgement now. So I'd like to acknowledge that we're all meeting on the lands of the Wiradjuri Nation. I'd like to pay respects to their elders past, present, merging all Aboriginal people with us today. And I'd like to acknowledge, I suppose, a long history of governance amongst the people that used to live here, that we are continuing in that tradition.
Thank you, Councillor Peterson, for doing that at short notice. Declaration of interest. Does any councillor have any conflict of interest in any matter for consideration at the council meeting tonight? Councillor McDonald?
I have a significant non-pecuniary interest in item 5.2, the appointment of the JRPP member.
As I sit on that panel, so I'll leave the room and I won't take part in that.
Thank you. Councillor Peterson?
I would also like to acknowledge a conflict with 5.2, knowing that I know the applicant both through church and mountain bike clubs, so I feel it's best I leave the room and not vote.
Thank you. Any others? Okay, we'll go to item 1.5, opening prayer, and I welcome the Reverend Tim Goldsmith from the Orange I can't say it, Church, yep, to lead us into council prayer.
Thank you. Thank you for the invite. It's my conviction that a healthy secular government isn't one that's devoid of religious elements, but one where no religious group has a voice to the exclusion of all others. And so I thank you for the invite, while also voicing my support for people of other religious persuasions and for people of no religion to be able to practice their beliefs publicly. So for those of you for whom it would be appropriate, I invite you to bow your heads in prayer. Almighty and ever-living God, we thank you and praise you for all of your mighty works. For you are loving and good and gracious. So we thank you for creating and sustaining us day by day. And we thank you that you have made us in your image to exist in community with other people. We thank you for the City of Orange, for our elected officials, for the businesses, the churches, the families and the individuals that make Orange what it is. We thank you particularly for your servants gathered here tonight, and also for the Year 11 students who are here to witness this evening. We thank you that they have been called to this office and pray that you would bless the work of their hands this evening. Lord, we recognise that those in authority are under your authority. I pray that our councillors this evening would have a deep sense of their calling and would seek to act on this calling fairly and faithfully. We pray for this council meeting this evening. Give the council members wisdom and guidance as they deliberate on the items before them. May every decision be righteous in your sight for our benefit and for the good of this community. Pray this in the name of the Father, the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Goldsmith. Councillors, staff and students and all others in attendance, it is my great pleasure that we have present here tonight former Mayor of Orange City Council, Mr. Jason Hemling. Jason would normally sit up the back there, but I thought that because of his long dedicated service to Orange City Council, the community of Orange, that it was only appropriate that he sit up here for one last time and enjoy the presentation which is about to take place. So I'd like to Jason was awarded a service award for 20 years in local government at the Local Government New South Wales Awards in 2024. Jason was unfortunately unable to attend the event to receive the award. Jason was a councillor elected to Orange City Council from 2004 to 2024. During his time, he was Deputy Mayor on 2 occasions and most recently elected Mayor in 2021. Jason chaired the Council Sport and Recreation Committee. He's a founding board member of Ronald McDonald House, Central West, and has served on the Domestic Violence Working Committee, the Crime Committee, and the Palliative Care Community Committee. He was a member of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Advisory Committee, NAIDOC Week Community Committee, Companion Animals Community Committee, Orange and Combined Road Safety Community Committee, Sister Cities Community Committee, and the Orange City Council representative on the joint organisation, Association of Mining Related Councils, TDO Limited, Civil Risk Mutual, and Ronald McDonald House. With such service to the community, this is a well-deserved recognition award. Jason Hemling, for your contribution to the community of Orange Council, we respect you for your service, and I genuinely mean that. You have a huge amount of respect, not only in this chamber, but in the community as well. And I wish you all the very best with whatever endeavours that you take in life. Thank you very much. Before I ask Jason to say a few words, I just want to present him with his certificate of service and also a small gift on behalf of Local Government New South Wales and Orange City Council.
I don't train you yet.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Is that working? Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I was pretty nervous about coming back in here this afternoon. 20 years of my life, every Tuesday, headed down the road and sat around the table or sat up here. Where do I start? Since being off council, I've had a lot of time to reflect and think about some of the achievements that I was part of or had a lot to do with, including some of the major infrastructure that we have here in Orange at the moment and what we're building. Obviously, I'm looking at that sporting precinct out the road every time I drive past it, and waiting for those grandstands to go up, and waiting for the completion. The same as the planetarium and music con. Can't wait for that to be finished. We live in such a beautiful town. Everyone that I know, everyone that I speak to, all our visitors that come up here, they just can't speak highly of Orange and how lucky we are to live here. I do feel very proud that I'm born and bred here, and I've watched it grow from a 20,000 orcharding town to what it is now, a thriving regional centre. And I think the councillors that are sitting around the room here and the ones that have come before you guys make all those decisions to make Orange such a great place. A few thank yous. I want to obviously thank my family, my wife. I've had a fair bit of personal stuff happening here in 20 years. My 3 children were born while I was on council. I had my mum and dad pass away while I was here, and had some personal battles myself. I want to thank some mentors of mine, John Davis, obviously, and Gary Stiles, and David Waddell, and all the council staff. We've seen a lot of staff go in 20 years, come and go, and they've all been fantastic and always helped out. I want to thank you guys, the councillors that are sitting around the table. You don't get many thanks for what you do, but I appreciate what you do, and I can guarantee you there's a lot of people out there that appreciate you guys. You know, you put your hand up and you're there to make decisions, and whatever decision you make, you go home and live with it. And I thank you very much for the service that you give Orange, and that'll do. Thanks very much, Tone.
I was going to ask him, I'll tell him he's free to go, but he looks like he's settled in, so. The council will now adjourn for the conduct of open forum. When addressing the council, speakers at public forums must comply with the Code of Meeting Practice and all other relevant council codes, policies and procedures. Speakers must refrain from engaging in disorderly conduct, alleging breaches of the council code of conduct, or making other potentially defamatory statements. I'll ask you to be respectful of this chamber, all here tonight. We have one registered speaker tonight. That's item 5.2, appointments of Joint Regional Planning Panel member, and that will be Summer Cummins. Summer, would you like to come up to the lectern, please? Before you start, I would just like to introduce you to our councillors. I have Councillor Whitten, Deputy Mayor Councillor Tammy Greenhalgh, Councillor McDonald, Councillor Power, Councillor Mallard. Go across the table to Councillor Ruddy, Councillor Stedman, Councillor Judge, Councillor Duffy, Councillor Kinghorn, and Councillor Peterson. Thank you. The meeting will now resume, and you have 5 minutes.
Good evening, councillors. I'm Summer Cummins. I'm speaking to item 5.2 of tonight's agenda. Thank you for considering my expression of interest for appointment as Council's representative on the Western Regional Planning Panel. As outlined in the report to Council, I have the skills and experience to consider DAs before the panel in line with planning controls, Council's objectives and community expectations. Spent much of my career working in development assessment across the Central West, including an extended period at Orange City Council as Senior Planner. I reported to the planning panel in that role and have a solid understanding of the panel's role and process. I'm now self-employed in private practice and continue to work with planning legislation every day to achieve sensible and compliant developments for our city. I'd be proud to represent Council on the planning panel and would bring a pragmatic, well-informed approach to the role. Thank you.
Thank you. If you'd like to come back, we just have a couple of one question.
I was just curious because when I was reading through all this, I was just wondering, because you're actually working as a private planner now, so is there any risk of any sort of conflicts? Is there any things you wouldn't be able to do because
this
of
might
that?
come up. Well, I don't think it's any different to any of the conflicts that any of us. Obviously, if there was a job that I was working on, I wouldn't be able to sit. I would declare a conflict. I also work a little bit for council, preparing DAs for council, on behalf of council. Similarly, I won't have an assessment role on the panel for those types of applications. No, conflict of interest is a thing, and we all operate under it. Council has its conflict of interest management statement, which I'm fully across in DAs, which won't apply to the panel, but same intent, outcomes.
Okay, yeah, I just wasn't sure because if
I would just
doing
not
lots of work locally, I just thought
involved
I'd
in
ask.
those decisions.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions before someone sits down? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Councillors, item number 2, Mayoral Minutes, recommendation on page 5.
I'll move the recommendation.
Thank you. There are none. I'm trying to work out why I was given something which isn't there. Okay.
I'll move it anyway, Mr. Mayor.
My apologies. Councillors, go to item number 3, confirmation of minutes of the previous meeting. There's a recommendation on page 5. Minutes of the ordinary meeting, which is held at Orange City Council on the 6th of May 2025. Can I have somebody move in second? Moved by Councillor Greenhouse, seconded by Councillor Peterson. Is there any discussion? There being none, I'll put the motion. Show of hands for. Unanimous. Item number 4, notice of motion, rescission. If we go to page 13, there's a recommendation, item 4.1, textiles recycling. Councillor McDonald or Peterson, would you like to move the motion?
I'm happy to move, Mr. Mayor.
Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Peterson. Would you like to speak to a Councillor McDonald?
Love to, Mayor. Thank you. So the motion here is that staff investigate the costs and practicalities of a drop-off textiles recycling capacity being offered at the Orange Ophir Road Resource Recovery Centre, including investigating grant funding opportunities as well as partnership opportunities with organisations such as Textile Recyclers Australia, Apparel, Australian Clothing Recyclers, King Cotton and Clothing Cleanup. So the background of this is that the average Aussie buys 50 new items of clothing each year, making Australia the second largest consumer of clothing in the world per capita, beaten only by America. 15% of clothes donated to charity are resold within Australia, the rest being sent to either landfill or overseas to developing nations, and usually ends up landfill there as well. Over 200,000 tonnes of clothing ends up in landfills around Australia each year. Carbon footprint of Australia's fashion consumption is the largest of any G20 country. Each Australian disposes an average of 23 kilos of clothing to landfill every year. Take more than 200 years to dispose in. Other councils have already taken steps to address this issue. Blue Mountain City Council provides a textile recycling program with drop-off bins. Bathurst Regional Council recently undertook a 3-month textile recycling trial in partnership with Textile Recyclers Australia, collecting and recycling 1,600 kilograms worth of textiles in just 1 month. If the staff investigation shows it to be viable for Orange, we can divert substantial volumes from landfill, extending the life of our Eucarina Road landfill site and saving ratepayers money.
Thank you. Councillor Peterson.
Thank you. And I certainly support the motion, and my involvement came from an idea when a ratepayer contacted me asking if polystyrene to be able to be dropped off for recycling at the Resource Recovery Centre, and turns out this was a service offered already. A brief look online just shows such a wide variety of products that can be recycled here without costs, and I'll list some of the ones that stood out for me. Gas cylinders, white goods, computer waste, car batteries, sump oil, smoke alarms, mobile phones, fire extinguishers, amongst others. And other random items can also be recycled for a tiny fee to cover costs, including polystyrene, solar panels, tyres, x-rays, mattresses, concrete. Yeah, loads. Yeah, I've had that interesting. So I wasn't aware of the sheer variety of recyclable materials in this town. Suggest this continue to be promoted as it has been on Facebook in the past. I thought maybe a QR code in our upcoming rate notices of all the things they could recycle might be space well spent. But textiles is an obvious gap, one that was requested during the last council. So I certainly support options to see how textiles could be added to the long list of products mentioned earlier.
Thank you. Just ask a question of the acting CEO. The councillor mentioned solar panels. My understanding is that of all the solar panels which are delivered, approximately 10% are damaged. Is it my understanding that Orange City Council take solar panels? My understanding is that we didn't have the facilities to recycle them at this point in time. There's only a couple of facilities within New South Wales or Australia who do that.
I'll have to take that one on notice, thank you.
Might say it's on the website.
But if it is on the website, I'm sure we're taking them, yeah.
Councillor Greenouch.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yeah, I'm 100% in support of this. It's something, Councillor McDonald and I spoke about at the last council. We're seeing all the wonderful things they're doing with mattresses, like the nanoplastics and so forth. And I think it's to a stage now where it really just needs to happen, because a lot of the clothing places like Vinnie's and that they just don't have the capacity to take these garments unless they're brand new most of the time now. So they are just going into landfill. So I'm really happy to support this, and I hope it's something we can deliver moving forward.
Thank you. Councillor Mallard.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, very happy to support this motion, and thank Councillor McDonald and Councillor Peterson for bringing it. As has already been mentioned, it was covered in the last council. In fact, in item 5.6 on page 122 in our papers is the outstanding resolution from last term that I brought, which covered not only textiles but soft plastics and anything else that we don't currently manage to recycle. That item did ask for a report to come back for council. It's still listed as ongoing review. So if this current motion brings something back that's concrete and that we can look at options, then that will be a really positive outcome that helps move things along. I think, yes, we absolutely need to look at what we can do in terms of recycling everything that can possibly be recycled. And so I'm very happy to keep supporting these kinds of motions. At the same time, noting some of the numbers that Councillor McDonald provided in her speech, it highlights that a large part of the problem is just the magnitude of the stuff that we produce and buy and use and then throw out, and that there's a need to think about things from that end as well. And that is not just about our individual behaviour as consumers, although I do encourage everyone to think about those choices, but the fact that producers don't have any responsibility for where their products end up after they get used up, and that part of making a more responsible and sustainable approach to waste will be actually putting a responsibility onto producers of materials to take some custodianship and responsibility and accountability for their products over the life of them. The fact is, it's possible to churn out loads of fast fashion garments that are cheap, that will fall apart very quickly, that will then end up getting thrown out, or produce higher quality products that over the life cycle will end up working out better for people. So, yeah, I think there's a lot more work to do in the whole waste cycle, but absolutely, I think if we can enhance our recycling services. I did, I think, ask about this in the briefing we had not too long ago about the waste contract as well, and had an indication that staff were still looking at it, but that it was outside the scope of that contract. And just as solar panels were raised, yes, we have had this come through the Environmental Sustainability Committee before, Community Committee before, and up to the Policy Committee, as well as Councillor Peterson noting on the website that, yes, our council has an arrangement. I believe it's a site at Cootamundra. It used to be Mollycop. I think the company has changed its name these days, but that does take solar panels for recycling. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Kinghorn.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is fine. I've got no issues with investigating this. I'm just curious though, because it did come up in the last council when Councillor Mallard brought a similar motion, and Bathurst did have their trial, and then they didn't continue with it, which just worries me a little bit because there was obviously a reason why they didn't continue with it. So that will be part of the investigations. Is that right? Great.
Yeah,
just checking.
I
Thank
believe
you.
it was cost.
Oh yeah, I believe it was cost as well, but if we can know how much cost, then that would be good. Okay.
Any further discussion? There being none, I'll put the motion. Show of hands for. Unanimous. Thank you, councillors. We'll now go to general reports. On page 14, item 5.1, confirmation of minutes from the Policy Committee meeting held on the 6th of May 2025. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Whitten, seconded by Councillor Power. Any discussion? There being no discussion, I'll put the motion. Show of hands for. Unanimous.
Matter arising.
Yeah, just have a matter arising, if I may.
Yes, Councillor.
This is just a report. There's a copy in front of everybody from the Rail Action Group. So there were 5 recommendations in those minutes that acknowledge the April report from the Rail Action Group and seeking Council's ongoing support and lobbying for improved passenger and rate rail services, including extension of the Bathurst Bullet to Orange with overnight stabling facilities in Orange. One of the recommendations specifically asks Council to continue lobbying the Central West JO for support, as improvements to rail services to Orange have broad benefits to other local communities as well. The Rail Action Group has prepared an updated report on more recent activities and achievements since the March report, and you have a copy in front of you, together with a copy of the Transport for New South Wales recently released Orange Passenger Rail Community Consultation Report, which has also been sent electronically to everybody. Key outcomes are summarised in Part 4. A significant outcome of this report was that on the 17th of April, Jenny Aitchison, the Minister for Regional Transport, announced $2 million to further investigate and progress the planning for better train services for Orange. More recently, on May 13th, our local MP, Phil Donato, made a pre-budgetary speech in the New South Wales Parliament requesting funds be allocated to proceed with a future infrastructure construction at Orange for overnight stabling to enable a morning return daily service to Sydney. So the Rail Action Group has asked me to thank Council and councillors for their continuing support and contributions to ORAG's efforts on behalf of the community.
Thank you, Councillor.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Councillor Roddy.
Yes, so I just want to talk about, since January 2024, 131 women in Australia have been killed in acts of violence. We all know that this is a crisis and it needs to be seen. Journalist and advocate Sherelle Moody has created a poster mural in Hosier Lane in Melbourne to honour these women and draw attention to the scale of gender-based violence. I've been speaking with her recently and she is interested in and would like to come to Orange to install a similar mural. This would come at no cost to council. She would cover all materials and installation, and I would happily coordinate some volunteers to maintain it through my not-for-profit business, which works in this space as well. What I'm looking for tonight is approval to install a mural on a centrally located, highly visible council-owned wall. One location that was discussed is the circular amenities block in the South Court. However, if that site isn't suitable, I would ask that council support the investigation of an alternative public location. I'm also open to exploring private sites if needed and available, but visibility is obviously key for this project. The mural I would hope that the mural to be installed for an initial period of around 6 months. And if there was community interest in extending it beyond that, I'd be happy to bring it back to council for further discussion. I realise this is something that could go through the Family and Domestic Abuse Committee, but they don't meet again until the end of July. This is a project I'd like to see got off the ground much sooner than that. And again, I realise it could be a notice of motion at our next meeting in 2 weeks' time, but would really like to get this off the ground as fast as possible. I'd just like to finish by saying this is a powerful, no-cost opportunity for Orange to stand with victims, raise awareness and lead by example.
Thank you, Councillor Ruddy. And Thank you for raising that that point. I'm not sure whether council's in a position to make any type of decision here tonight. I'm assuming there'd be a process which would need to go through for that to occur. Just give us 1 sec, please. What I've decided to do, I don't think that a notice of motion is required, but I'll ask staff to bring back a report to the next meeting with options. I don't think it's appropriate that we make a decision here tonight on an exact location without further discussion. But thank you for bringing that forward, and we'll have a report back before next meeting. Thank you. Councillors, the next item, I understand there's 2 conflicts of interest. It's item 5.2, appointment of the Joint Regional Planning Panel. And we've got conflicts from Councillor McDonald, Councillor Peterson, who are leaving the room.
Mr. Mayor, I'm just considering the aspect of this motion because, as was mentioned, Councillor Malcolm McDonald will actually lead up, and then I will be an alternative in relation to would that be a conflict. I didn't see it, but I just want to make sure that it's clear whether that would be a conflict if I were to vote on the one of the panel members.
That'd be a matter for yourself, Councillor.
Sorry?
That would be a matter for yourself to determine whether you consider it would be or not.
Well, sir, I'll stay, Mr. Mayor.
You what?
I'll stay in the meeting. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to just make sure it's noted in relation to there could be, but I don't think it is. But yeah, if you're happy with that, acting CEO.
It's a matter for yourself, but if you feel more comfortable leaving the room, there's plenty of councillors still a quorum. It's a matter for yourself.
Yeah.
Noted that it's a non-significant declaration. You've made the declaration. You're welcome to stay.
Thank you.
Okay, there's a recommendation on page 43. Now I have somebody move and second the nomination of a representative. Moved by Councillor Ruddy, seconder.
Can't just move the recommendation.
I'll move a recommendation, Mr. Mayor. I'll move a recommendation that.
Okay, well, I haven't been provided that information here. Okay, I've got a mover by Councillor Duffy that.
Second it.
Moved by Councillor Ruddy that Summer Cummins is nominated. Seconded by Councillor Duffy. Any discussion? There being no discussion, I'll put the motion, a show of hands for. You're lost.
We will move. So the recommendation.
One of the two.
I moved it, Ms. Cummins.
Yeah, and Councillor Duffy did.
And I seconded it.
Okay, so there's a confusion. So we've got Councillor Duffy has moved it. Councillor Mallard has seconded it. We're clear on that? We've all voted for. Sorry, Councillor Ruddy, I thought you put your hand up to move it. Okay, thank you. Carried. If we can ask the Councillor McDonald and Peterson to come back in, please. Waiting for Councillor Peterson. Whilst I'm waiting for Councillor Peterson, I would just like, on behalf of Orange City Council, to congratulate Summer Cummins for her successful on the position of the Western Region Planning Panel. Congratulations, and thank you for showing interest in this important position. It's greatly appreciated. We know where Councillor Peterson is. Okay. Somebody want to get him? Thank you for sharing that.
Well, you'd be keen to know.
Okay. Councillors, look at item 5.3, statement of investments. There's a statement of investments from April 2025. There's a recommendation on page 49. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Mallard, seconded by Councillor Kinghorn. Is there any discussion on this item? There being no discussion, I'll put the motion. Show of hands for. Unanimous. Item 5.4, quarterly consolidated budget review and progress report for quarter number 3 of 24-25. Councillors, there is a recommendation on page 89. Can I have somebody move and second the recommendation? By Councillor Greenhouse and seconded by Councillor Duffy. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I've got a question. It's regarding the Rainbow Festival, and it's we're doing with the March quarter, January-March quarter. Ask the director if there's any report coming to council as what the actual proposed costs or debit or profit that we made at the Rainbow Festival.
Okay, I might defer to the director.
We're receiving a report.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, can I just clarify? The question is about the report for the previous event.
A report on the profit and loss of the Rainbow Festival.
And that is a new request, Mr. Mayor. We have not been asked to provide a report on a profit and loss of any of our events in the past, but if that's something the councillor wishes to request, I can do that through the council chamber.
Thank you. And time frame?
Is it a request? Is that something that's...
Is that what you asked to Councillor Duffy, a report?
I'm asking for a report to come to...
Can you just detail... Okay, just a...
Yep.
So you're asking for a report to cover what? The profit and loss? Is that what you're asking for?
On the event, in the event as well.
The last one?
Yes, the last one.
Thank you.
Previous one.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I just clarify, you're talking about the components of the event that council actually ran, not the ones that were privately run?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I wouldn't be able to provide a profit and loss on the events that are not council events. I could only provide one on the event, which is the council event, which was the evening event and the daytime event.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you, good point.
Yep, council's involvement.
Happy to provide that.
Thanks. You're happy with that, Councillor Duffy?
Yep.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Director. Okay, we'll now move on to Councillor Peterson.
I have a few questions on the quarterly budget that I have sent in advance, but I thought it was worth talking about in chamber.
Thank you. I'll ask the Chief Financial Officer to respond.
Fantastic. First one being operating budget. It's a balanced operating budget as opposed to the deficits of previous years. I understand this financial year we were estimating a $555,000 deficit. I'm right in seeing there's an improvement to a deficit of $136,000 now.
Thank you, Councillor Peterson, and through you, Mr. Mayor. I'll just answer that one. So firstly, the $555,000 relates to a prior year. So that's the first point. The actual point, I think, the number you're probably looking for is the in the general fund, and it's $186,000 deficit, which is what we said was the original budget for 24-25. I mean, you can see that in the attachment, page 2 of 19. Second table down of the general fund. So that's that. That's just to clarify that one. And then in terms of the deficit, so what we're actually saying, so that's the consolidated fund, not the general. The consolidated fund, we said there'd be forecasting a deficit, and the proposed variations in this last quarter actually deteriorate that position slightly. So that's the 136,000 or 135,500 that you also see on page 2 of 19 of the attachment. So table 1 is consolidated, and table 2 on that page is the general fund. So we're saying that the proposed variations for this quarter represent 135,000.
Thank you. The second question was just on page 93, sort of saying the $18 million loan has been split. We don't need that amount up front now, and we can have the loan over a 2-year period instead. Does that infer a slower rate of spending, which could infer delays to construction?
Through Mr. Mayor, no, it doesn't. The actual progress has been going in accordance with what we've always planned. So there's no delays to the construction. The $18 million was simply a number that was put into the budget at that time. It was just a conservative number. But we've since found out that we actually don't need the $18 million straight away. So that's why we've just deferred half of it into the 25-26 financial year. So does that answer that one?
Great.
Yep, great.
It appears from the limited time I've been here, there's much more pressure on the operating budget as opposed to the water and sewer restricted funds. I was just curious, so the staff that work in the water and sewer responsibilities, are they paid from the restricted water and sewer funds, or does that come from the general operating budget?
Very good question through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, they get paid they get funded by the water budget and the sewer funds.
On page 115, there was a variation of $3 million in the conservatorium cash flow. And I was a bit confused about that. It's obviously a bit different number to the 9.8 million variation in the loan utilisation. So I just asked what that negative expenditure variation was representing.
Yeah, sure. Through you, Mr. Mayor, again. So that's referring to the, I think it's almost the last couple of pages of the attachment. So the $3 million conservatorium cash flow payment, which actually hasn't taken place. So therefore we've removed it as an expenditure item. What that was is originally we applied for the loan through the Office of Local Government. That didn't happen straight away. I think our original application was July last year. Ring a bell? Yep. So in the meantime, we said we will need to borrow some short-term funding. We did it in 2 tranches. So the 3 was drawn in November 2024, and then subsequently in December we drew another 2, totaling $5 million. And they just come due. They'll come due in 12 months. So we will repay them at that point. But the 3, it was anticipated that in the 24-25 budget that we would be paying that one back this year. That was just information that was determined back then. And since we found out we won't and we don't need to, so we've just defer that into the 25-26 year.
Thinking. One other question that I didn't send in advance. All the charts, and I saw the listed charts, and thinking they're essentially balance sheets and income statements in terms of how I try to analyse them as a councillor. Just thinking with some other councils that had some dramas with finances in previous years. I wondered in the yearly budget, could we get a statement of cash flow particularly, but also something about changes in equity, just so I can consider that.
So just through Mr. Mayor, just to clarify, are you meaning the graphs, or are you meaning?
Yeah, those graphs. So they look like essentially balanced sort of an income statements, but I thought statements of cash flow might be helpful because I'm imagining particularly, say, when, for example, Central Coast allegedly had taken money from where they shouldn't have to fund operating, it must have been a cash flow problem. which is why they decided to take from where they shouldn't have. So I thought a statement of cash flow might be of help. Just, I guess, if it was a business, prove going concern and solvency. There was a few at the very top. There's a couple of the very first pages had something about unrestricted cash and I don't have it in front of me, but I just thought in the annual budget that might just be something useful for me to see and try to analyse.
I think we can certainly have a look at that, and in terms of providing that information, if it's going to help. So if I could just take that, I'll go and investigate that and see whether that's possible, and then I'll report back next time.
It might be in table 2 and it's got the net cash movement increase and decrease, but we can chat about that after, and maybe I need to be shown where the information just is. So
just so we're clear, which page are we referring to?
That was on page 90.
90.
I don't know if that's figures a fair example of basically cash on hand for operating expenses and stuff like that. That might not be a fair reading of it. So
it's a difficult one to read if you're referring to the net cash movement increase decrease. That's simply saying whether we are funding it out of reserves or not. In other words, it's probably, I might take offline, have a discussion with you if that's okay, and see if we can clarify that.
Councillor Whitten.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question through you to the acting CEO. It's a question to add to the questions taken on notice. A couple of elms were removed in Anson Street, and a lot of folk are wondering if those elms are going to be replaced with elms of the same species along Anson Street. Corner of Anson and Kite Street, just down a little bit near the park there.
We'll take that on notice. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor. Just two things. Firstly, just wanted to thank the CFO for his comments through this. It certainly helps me digest numbers. And the second thing was, and I have related asked for this. Anything that particularly all printed and even digital, I noticed the figures are blurry, and for those of us that as we age, it would be helpful if we could actually
Thank you. We'll certainly look into that in the future.
Councillor Kinghorn.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just for the CFO again, now that he's gone and sat back down, you explained that we applied through the Office of Local Government in July last year to be able to borrow the money from ourselves for the conservatorium loan, and we're only using half of it now. There's no expiration on that application. I'm just curious as to whether they do say you've got to do it by a certain time.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Kinghorn, no, there isn't. No.
Okay, so even if it took longer, it would be fine.
That's correct. They've simply said here it is. There's obviously a term, but there's no expiration in terms of when the drawdown happens.
Okay.
And so we're totally safe in terms of utilising that.
That's fine. Just checking. And the fact that we are only taking half, that means that the other half's still in there. So does that mean that we're earning more on that than what we're paying in interest on the half that we have taken?
It's a good question. Effectively, it's still in our investments. It's still earning a very similar rate. So the investments are actually earning more than the loan rate at this stage. So it's better to be where it is.
Yep.
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Thank you.
Righto.
Thank you. Any further questions? There being none, I'll put the motion. Show of hands for. Unanimous. Thank you, councillors. If we can have a look at item 5.5, responses to questions taken on notice. Councillors, there's a recommendation on page 119. Can I have somebody move and second the report? Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Judge. Any discussion regarding this item? Councillor Peterson.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Mayor. The only question I had was one still pending from the 7th of February 2024 regarding a compilation of the vital signs of Orange to be agreed on, displayed and updated on the website. I just wanted to know any. Oh, whoops, what an idiot. Sorry, take it back.
Thank you, Councillor Peterson. Okay, no further discussion, councillors? There being none, I'll put the motion. Show of hands for. Unanimous. Have a look at item 5.6, update of outstanding and completed resolutions of council, including questions taken on notice, matters arising and notices of motion. Council, there's a recommendation on page 121. I have somebody move and second it. Moved by Councillor Greenhouse, seconded by Councillor Mallard. Any discussion, Councillor Peterson?
Thank you. Apologies, I put 5.5 instead of 5.6 on my list here. So yeah, so just a question from the 7th of February regarding compilation vital signs of Orange. Just wanted to know if any progress on that question, as I couldn't see it on the list.
Director Maunder ready to address.
I was anticipating a question, Mr. Mayor. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Firstly, apologies for not coming back to you on that earlier, Councillor Peterson. Those stats, as I understand it, were in relation to the crime statistics that were raised in the Community Safety and Crime Prevention Program, was my recollection of the matter. Is that?
I'd see it more broadly. That might be some of it, but also things like median rental, income, unemployment. I mean, vital signs, things that people could see as objective measures of the health of the city. Could even be a bit of a discussion about which ones we want to have. But there was this table map of 40 or 50, some of them quite interesting, and we just thought something that could be sort of updated on a regular basis.
No,
interest.
We were discussing it today, which those stats were, so I'll hand to Director.
Thank you, Director. Through you, Mr. Mayor. We did actually try and find the exact conversation that you were referring to, and there was a little bit of ambiguity, which is why we were both prepared to respond. So through you, Mr. Mayor, the stats that you're talking about we're actually presenting through the Economic Development Committee, and they're presented as part of a document that's shown by Central West Joint organisation. They used to call it the placemat. It's now got more information on it to have one placemat. So it's actually
a tablecloth.
Yeah, a bit more of a tablecloth, correct. So it was presented not at the economic development meeting that happened this last Wednesday, but the previous one, the normal meeting. At this stage, it's not something that we put up on the website, which was part of the question, I believe, mainly because it does become outdated quite quickly, and it's sort of a snapshot in time. Certainly something we could consider putting on because at the moment it's only done once every 12 months. It does take a lot of work to bring it all together. So to put it on the website there was a bit of reluctance from the previous director, as the notes that I found today. Not to say that we wouldn't do it, but it's certainly something that at this stage we haven't chosen to do.
Might be something we could even chat about, because I don't want to make work for work's sake, but if there was a couple that were easier to get information on, we could see a bit of a trend line, that would be maybe even of more value than just the raw number. But happy to.
Perhaps it might also be pertinent to just put a link to some of the other websites that do have that information updated regularly, like New South Wales regional websites or the Orange 360 websites that have those sorts of things on them as well.
Thank you. If you'd just like to stay there, I've got Councillor McDonald with a question.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, it might be.
Give it a bash.
To the relevant director anyway. Page 123, contacting the New South Wales government departments about state-owned land earmarked for affordable housing, and that item there. There's update to be provided. I'm just wondering, have we contacted departments? And I get that there's going to be like a fleshed out report, but are we move-wise on that?
I'll just ask Director Hodges to respond. He looks keen.
Councillors, through you, Mr. Mayor, just thinking about a response to that. Apologies. I was a meeting that I wasn't at, so I was just catching up there.
From Pastoral, I'm just informed that related to a particular data set from Lithgow. Does that ring a bell, Councillor McDonald? Oh, okay. Let's just look back to the review of state-owned land for the potential of affordable housing. We'll continue to do that with, and I'm sort of hoping with, as Council found on last Friday with the affordable housing statistics that we're just reviewing at the moment with Hill PDA, coming back to Council in October for progression there. That'll probably then lead into the next part of Councillor Mallard's resolution in the past about a housing summit. A bit of discussion around then. So I'm thinking about linking those all together, and we do ask the departments about. I'd have to take that bit, Councillor. I'm unsure because I was away with that one. But I can take that on notice and come back to you. But I'm actually thinking beyond that.
Yeah,
the most appropriate way to progress.
A lot of these things have, I was.
Councillor McDonald, I don't think your microphones are working.
Had one, did I?
It is now. Is anything further, the Director?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Duffy.
Mr. Mayor, I'm looking at page 126 with the item regarding Arts Out West, and one would expect the finalisation of that.
Director Maunder.
Going to affect the budget process.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Firstly, no, it won't affect the budget. We've already made provision for membership in the budget. Our Director of Galleries, Brad Hammond, is our representative on Arts Out West going forward. Brad's been liaising with Arts Out West on the terms of the new agreement and the reporting back to Council on their activities. So that's been a body of ongoing work. We should have that finalised with them in the next month or so.
Thank you. Councillor Mallard.
Thanks, Mayor. Just wanted to comment on a few of the items. The Director already just mentioned one of them on page 126. The local housing strategy resolution, and again, that's one that says information to be provided. It is good at least to see that the affordable housing strategy consultation work started last week. It was good to be involved in that, and thanks to Hill PDA and the council staff as well for I went to one of the workshops and then for the briefing they gave to councillors as well. We do still have, as that item notes, all of the other things that we resolved to do back in 2022 about housing policies, the housing summit, as the Director mentioned, homelessness policy and other things. So I'm still hoping at some point that information will be provided as requested several times. The other ones I just wanted to mention, page 144 at the top has the motion that I put to the LGNSW annual conference, and that was relating to the definition of affordable housing in the ministerial guidelines and its inconsistency with the actual planning legislation and the housing SEP. I'm pleased to report that motion not only was submitted but was adopted at the LGNSW annual conference. I didn't get the chance before tonight's meeting to check if there's any update from LGNSW. They do track their lobbying and report on those things, so I will keep an eye on that as well, but it's good that we've at least hopefully helped get them lobbying to make sure that if something is called affordable housing, it's genuinely affordable for the people living in it, and it's based on their income, not based on a discount off the median rental. And the final one I wanted to mention was on page 153, another completed resolution relating to 166 and 168 Seaburn Drive. Got to say I've reflected on that now, having gone and seen that site. I know it says contracts being prepared, and we've effectively delegated the CEO to be able to go ahead and sell that site. If I had that decision over again, I'd probably reconsider it. I do know that those sites are zoned for public recreation, so I know there's a process of rezoning would need to happen before a sale can happen. I would really encourage councillors, if we are going to consider that decision at some point, if you haven't already gone and checked out the site and seen the aesthetic benefits, the vegetation on the site, the way it provides amenity, particularly for the aged care facility that sits immediately behind it, it's well worth going and checking out in case we do consider something at a future meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Millard. Any further discussion? Being none, I'll put the motion. Show of hands for. Unanimous. Students from Kinross, you'll find the next part very interesting. It's called closed meeting, a closed agenda. And what that means is, as you'll soon find out, you'll be asked to leave the chamber. But before you do so, on behalf of myself, the Mayor, all councillors and our staff, thank you for coming along tonight. It has been an absolute pleasure having you. You've been your conduct has been exemplary, and thank you for being so attentive and so respectful to this chamber. And I wish you all the very best in your studies in the future. Thank you very much. The Chief Executive Officer will now advise Council if any written submissions have been received relating to any item advertised for consideration by a closed meeting of Orange City Council.
And no written items have been provided. Thank you.
In accordance with the Local Government Act 1993 and the Local Government Act General Regulation 2021, in the opinion of the Chief Executive Officer, the following business is of kind as referred to in Section 10A2 of the Act and should be dealt with in confidential session of Council meeting closed to the press and public. Item 6.1, proposed acquisition of land is classified confidential under the provision of Section 10A2C. Information that would, if disclosed, confer a confidential advantage of persons with whom Council is conducting or proposes to conduct business. Item 6.2, New South Wales Local Roads Congress additional nomination for councillor attendance is classified confidential under the provision of Section 10A2F matters affecting the security of councillors, council staff or council property. Somebody move and second that we go into closed session of the meeting. Moved by Councillor Steadman, seconded by Councillor Judge.